Have you ever wondered what happens when your neighborhood Karen decides your dad's classic car is an eyesore that must disappear? What if she sends her fake cop goons to chain it up while you're sipping coffee in your own kitchen? And what if the quiet widow she's bullying isn't some helpless retiree, but the woman who spent 25 years auditing federal fraud cases and still carries the badge that can end careers with one phone call? I moved to Willow Creek Estates 6 months ago, chasing the American dream they sell in brochures. White picket fences, friendly waves, zero stress. My name is Sarah Bennett. After 25 years as a senior forensic accountant for the Department of Justice, I was done chasing embezzlers across state lines. All I wanted was tomato plants, Sunday drives in my father's cherry red 1967 Mustang, and mornings where the only drama was whether the mail came on time. The realtor called the HOA very professional. Should have asked for a translator. Professional, apparently, means we invent rules and charge you for breathing. The first weeks were bliss. Mrs. Patel next door dropped off fresh samosas. Old Mr. Hargrove across the street taught me how to keep squirrels out of the bird feeder. I parked Dad's Mustang right in the driveway where I could see it every sunrise, same spot he'd parked it for 30 years before cancer took him. That car wasn't just metal and paint. It was the last thing we restored together. Every Saturday, he'd hand me a rag and say, "Patience, kiddo. Good things take time." I believed him. Then the envelope arrived. Cream-colored, gold-embossed Willow Creek HOA seal, smelling like entitlement. Inside, Community Standards Violation Notice. Classic vehicles may not remain visible for more than 24 hours due to adverse aesthetic impact on neighborhood harmony. I read the CC and RS twice. No such rule existed. I chuckled, tossed it in the recycling, and went back to pruning roses. 2 days later, a white SUV with yellow emergency lights rolled up like it owned the street. Out stepped Enforcement Officer Blake in a Navy uniform that screamed, "I watched too many cop shows." Badge, utility belt, the whole costume. He didn't knock. He just stood by my Mustang snapping photos like a paparazzo at a scandal. "Ma'am, this vehicle is in violation of Enforcement Code Section 7.3, he announced with the tone of a man who'd practiced in the mirror. "You have 72 hours to relocate it or face escalating penalties." I stepped outside, wiping dirt from my hands. Funny, the actual covenants filed with the county don't mention any enforcement code. His smile was pure plastic. "The board updated our private compliance policy 2 years ago. Ma'am, it supersedes everything. HOA rules evolve with community needs." He handed me a yellow ticket like it was a parking fine from God himself. "Pay the $500 administrative fee or we'll schedule removal." I let him leave without argument. Because in 25 years of auditing crooked officials, I learned the golden rule. Never tip your hand until you've got the full ledger. That night, my neighbor Mrs. Patel knocked softly. "Sarah, honey, I saw Blake. Be careful." They call her the mayor, Karen Langley, HOA president. She runs this place like her personal kingdom. Last year, she fined old Mr. Hargrove $1,200 for his American flag being too large. He paid because his wife's on oxygen and they couldn't risk liens. I invited her in. Over tea, she spilled the tea. Families hit with mysterious fines. Cars towed while owners were at work. One widow's mobility scooter impounded until she paid $900 in storage. Everyone just paid. "It's easier," she whispered. "Karen says it's for the children's future." Black humor, right? The children's future apparently requires my dead dad's car to vanish. I smiled politely. Inside, I was already building the spreadsheet. Next morning, I drove to the HOA office, little brick building that looked like a bank vault for feelings. Karen Langley herself greeted me. Early 60s. Platinum hair helmet. Pastel cardigan with embroidered HOA logo. Smile so wide it could swallow small animals. "Sarah, so lovely to finally meet you in person. I'm Karen, and we're just here to help everyone thrive together." I placed the violation notice on her desk. "Help me understand how an internal enforcement code can override county-recorded covenants." Her laugh tinkled like wind chimes made of broken dreams. "Oh, sweetie, the board voted unanimously. It's all perfectly legal. Officer Blake and his team keep our property values pristine. You wouldn't want the neighborhood looking messy, would you? I asked for a copy of this magical code. Internal document. Dear, residents don't need to worry their pretty heads. She patted my hand like I was 5. Just move the car, and we'll forget this ever happened. We're family here. Family. Sure. The kind that charges you rent for existing. I left without paying. On the drive home, I ran the numbers I should have run before signing. County records. 0 mention of any enforcement code. State licensing database. Blake's company, Sentinel Compliance, licensed only 4 observation patrols. No arrest powers. No towing authority. No nada. Karen's Little Navy cosplay squad was committing textbook impersonation of law enforcement. Every fine collected? Potential extortion. Every towed car ransomed back. Theft by deception. And if Karen was pocketing personal checks, hello. Racketeering. That evening, Mr. Hargrove limped over with a 6-pack. Heard you're the new target. 3 years ago, Karen got elected promising harmony. Now half the block scared to park their own damn cars. My flag. She called it divisive. Divisive? In America. He shook his head. Most folks just pay and stay quiet. Easier than lawyers. I asked if anyone had fought back. His laugh was bitter. One guy tried. Got his boat towed while he was at his mother's funeral. Came home to $4,000 in fees. Sold the house the next month. I opened the lockbox I'd kept from my DOJ days. Inside, my federal credentials. Still active under senior status. I hadn't planned to use them. I wanted tomatoes. Not takedowns. But staring at Dad's Mustang gleaming under the streetlight. I heard his voice again. Good things take time, and sometimes a little paperwork. Karen and Blake thought they'd found another easy mark. They had no idea the quiet widow in gardening clothes had spent a quarter-century burying people exactly like them. The 72-hour clock ticked. Certified letter arrived, gold seal. Red ink. The works. $500 due or immediate removal proceedings. I filed it. Then I started knocking on doors. Mrs. Patel introduced me to 3 more victims. The Ramirez family paid $1,800 to get their work van back after Blake claimed it blocked sightlines. Single dad Mike lost his motorcycle for excessive chrome glare. Elderly Mrs. Thompson, different Thompson. Poor woman, handed me a receipt for $2,200 made out to Karen Langley. Personal, not the HOA personal. Every receipt was a smoking gun. Every story ended the same. We just wanted it to stop. I installed cameras. I got the sheriff's office in writing. No HOA has police powers here. I recorded Blake's next visit when he and his partner measured my driveway like they were CSI, Suburbia. I let them talk. Every condescending word went straight to cloud storage. Then came the community email from Karen herself. Subject, protecting our shared values. No names, but everyone knew. Certain residents are prioritizing personal nostalgia over collective beauty. We must stand united against selfishness. Translation, Sarah Bennett is the problem. I forwarded it to my growing file and smiled the kind of smile that makes fraudsters nervous. The tow truck showed up at dawn. Blake, his partner, and a guy with chains. They rolled right up my driveway like it was public property. No knock. No warrant. Just the clink of metal on Dad's Mustang. I stepped out, phone recording. You're trespassing. Leave. Blake puffed up. Ma'am, this is official HOA enforcement. You've had ample opportunity. Ample opportunity to what? Pay fake fines to your boss's personal account. His face twitched. The operator kept hooking chains. Metal scraped paint. The sound my father would have hated. I dialed 911 loud enough for the gathering neighbors to hear. Theft in progress. 3 individuals impersonating law enforcement attempting to steal my vehicle. Sirens in minutes. Deputies arrived to find the Mustang halfway lifted. Blake tried the routine procedure speech. The sergeant looked at the yellow tickets. Looked at Blake's costume. Then looked at me. Ma'am, did you authorize this? No. Court order? No. He turned to Blake. Unhook it. Now. You're under investigation for theft and impersonation. The chains dropped. The Mustang settled back down with a gentle bounce like it was sighing in relief. Blake's crew slunk away. Neighbors actually clapped, quietly. like they were afraid Karen had spies in the bushes. But the real show was still coming. The quarterly HOA meeting was packed like a Black Friday sale. 60-plus residents who normally skipped these things suddenly remembered they owned folding chairs. Karen sat at the head table in her pastel armor, Blake lurking by the exit like a budget bouncer. She called the meeting to order with her signature sing-song voice. "We're all here because we love our community. Don't we?" Public comment time. She read my name like it tasted sour. Sarah Bennett. 3 minutes. I walked to the podium carrying one folder. No notes. I'd lived this moment in courtrooms for decades. 6 months ago, I moved here for peace. I began softly. The room went still. Instead, I found an operation where a woman named Karen Langley and her uniformed friends invent rules that don't exist, collect thousands in cash payments made out to her personally, and steal cars when people say no. Gasps. Karen's smile froze like cheap Botox. I held up the sheriff's letter. Official county statement. No HOA enforcement team in this state has any legal authority to tow, fine, or threaten liens. 0. I laid it on the table. Blake's company license? Patrol only. Anything else is a felony. Blake took one step toward the door. A plainclothes deputy blocked him casually. I kept going. I have sworn statements from 8 families. $47,000 extracted over 3 years. Every check made out to Karen Langley. Not the HOA Karen. Personal. Dead silence. Then Mrs. Patel stood. I paid her $900 for my scooter. She told me it was going to community beautification. Mr. Hargrove waved his receipt. My flag money bought her new patio furniture. The room turned into a volcano. Karen tried the classic Karen maneuver. Hand up. Voice shrill. This is slander. This woman is attacking our democracy. I pulled the leather credential case from my pocket. Opened it. Held it high. My name is Sarah Bennett. Retired senior forensic accountant. United States Department of Justice. 25 years auditing racketeering and fraud cases just like this one. The same woman you labeled selfish and anti-community in your emails. You could hear jaws hit the floor. Karen's face went the color of expired milk. Blake tried to bolt. 2 deputies cuffed him mid-stride. I continued while the room erupted. The sheriff's investigation is active. The state attorney general has the file. Bank records. Videos of the attempted theft this morning. Victim statements. Everything. Arrest warrants are being prepared as we speak. Karen stood so fast her chair fell backward. You can't. You're retired. You're just a resident. I met her eyes. Exactly. A resident who knows exactly how to bury people who prey on their neighbors with fake uniforms and fake power. You picked the wrong driveway. Karen. The deputies moved in. Karen Langley. You're detained pending charges of extortion, theft, and conspiracy. Handcuffs clicked. The same sound the tow chains had made on Dad's Mustang. Only this time it was music. Blake started crying actual tears. I was just following orders. Classic. Never works. The room exploded in applause. Mrs. Patel hugged me so hard I almost dropped my folder. Mr. Hargrove shouted. Finally, someone started chanting, "Audit the HOA." Black humor at its finest. Within 48 hours, the case exploded. More victims came forward, 23 families total. Drake, sorry. Blake, flipped immediately. Singing like a canary about Karen's franchise model, teaching other HOAs how to run the same scam. 2 neighboring communities opened investigations. Karen's personal accounts got frozen, $68,000 in consulting fees that turned out to be stolen neighbor money. At the emergency community meeting, Martha Patel was voted interim president. First order of business, abolish the fake enforcement code. Second, independent audit of every fine ever issued. The white SUV with yellow lights? Auctioned off. The Navy uniforms? Donated to the local theater for their production of Catch Me If You Karen. I went back to my tomatoes. The Mustang still sits in the driveway every single day, untouched, unapologetic. Cherry red reminder that bullies only win until someone refuses to play their game. One evening, Mr. Hargrove stopped by with another 6-pack. Most of us would have just paid the $500 and hidden the car, he said quietly. Why didn't you? I looked at the Mustang glowing in the sunset. Because my dad taught me some things are worth protecting, I told him. And because I've spent my whole life watching people like Karen count on everyone else staying quiet. Not this time. He nodded. You weren't just protecting your car. No, I said. I was protecting the neighborhood you all deserve. The sun dipped low, painting the sky the exact shade of Dad's Mustang. Somewhere in Willow Creek, families were eating dinner without checking their mail for threats. Somewhere a kid was riding a bike without fear of aesthetic violation fines. And somewhere, Karen Langley was learning what real consequences feel like when the quiet woman in the garden finally stands up. I came here looking for peace. I found something better. I found justice, with a side of very satisfying karma. Personal note, bullies in power always assume silence equals weakness, until the right person refuses to stay quiet. Next time your HOA Karen comes for your stuff, remember, document everything. Know your rights. And never underestimate the quiet neighbor with receipts. Justice isn't loud. It's patient. And it always wins in the end.